This is ways to change your yarn, either the same yarn as you run out of yarn, you're adding new yarn, or changing colors. I'm working at the end of the row, and one of the simplest ways is to go into your last stitch, pull up your loop, and before you finish that stitch, you just add your new color, pull it through the loop, and you begin working with the new color. I never felt too secure with this one, so I would always add a knot. So the second way is to just add a knot, tying those two ends together, and that way when you pull that knot into under those old loops, it's hidden, but now you have a end hanging out here. One way is to work that end, which is what I usually would do, work it in as you're working the new color. However, if you're changing a lot of colors, or you can't float it up the edge and work over it with the border, it might be easier to use a double slip knot. So this is number 3, and I'm going to take, I want the knot there, so I'm going to take my new yarn, wrap it around, creating a simple slip knot in one direction. Then I'm taking my old yarn and I'm wrapping it around the new yarn, again creating just a simple slip knot going in the other direction. And now we're going to pull them together, and it's important that you pull it very tightly, and then you can take your sharp pair of scissors and cut them off very close to the knot. Always check it again by pulling it. And I'm doing my new stitch, and this time now when I go to pull the knot through, that knot's going to disappear completely into the new stitch, and that way I do not have to weave in a bunch of ends. But what if I don't want any knot at all? What if I'm working in the middle of a row? And I'm going to cut this here so we have two ends again. I'm in the middle of the row, and this is usually used for finer yarn, but certainly you could use it with any weight yarn. I don't want a knot there, so instead I'm going to split my yarn. Now usually this is used with the same color. However, maybe I'm doing something where I want the two yarns to blend before I change color. Maybe I'm doing a scrap yarn project, and instead of having harsh breaks with the color, I now want the yarn to blend. So maybe I'll take 12 inches and overlap the two yarns, so I have one color that then blends into the next color. Or I'm using a very delicate yarn and I don't want a knot, or the project I'm making, I do not want a yarn or a knot or a bump in the yarn there. So I'm going to overlap the two colors or the two yarns, doing them half and half, and now I just begin working. I'm doing the single crochet stitch, and I work the two yarns together just as you normally would until you come to the end of the first yarn. You drop it to the back and you just pick up your new yarn and begin working with it just as you normally would. Now you're going to have your little ends hanging out the back there. So you see, because I had done two colors, it blends in, but if I had used the same yarn, just adding a new skein, it would have totally blended in and there would be no knot or thickness. It would be exactly the same. Now I can either weave in these ends Or again, I could take a sharp pair of scissors and cut them off. Another way to blend yarn, again, either of the same color, because usually you would do this with the same color, but as I said, if you're changing colors and you want not to just jump from one color to the other, but you want to blend them, you can felt the two ends together. Obviously, this has to be done with yarn that can be felted, so it has to be a wool or animal blend. And you just take some water. I'm taking some water here. I've taken the last 2 or 3 inches of the new yarn and the old yarn and spaced them out, kind of unravel them a little so you can get those fibers loose. And the same with this end. And now all I have to do is take a little water and dampen those ends. And I start working those fibers together. You can do it with your fingers. You can use your palms to just keep on working those fibers together. Get them all blended, smashed together. So really what you're doing is just felting them as you would if you were actually felting a project. And make sure you get them all blended in. It may take a little while to work them all, these fibers together, so they don't separate. But when you get it all done and they're all meshed together, then you just allow them to dry and those ends will be felted together. If you would like to see the written out information or look for part 2, just go to free patterns at simpleandsensational.com.